welcome back to Stoops Loops. I'm Stoops and today we are going to be learning how to do a granny square as our first project, brand new learning to crochet. So the reason that I chose to do a granny square for our first project is because there's so much you can do with it. It's very, very versatile. You can make pretty much anything as long as you make a bunch of squares and sew them together a certain way. You can make shawls, you can make scarves, you can make blankets, you can make sweaters, you can make anything. And we're going to be learning how to do the foundational building block of the granny square. So very excited for that. I will also be giving a quick tip on how to start a granny hexagon sweater that we are going to kind of be doing like a crochet along thing with. More so I'm making one and I'm going to be doing a video later on kind of how to make it up as you go along, let's say. But yeah, very excited. All you're gonna need is yarn and a matching hook, and let's get started. Alrighty, so as far as what we'll be needing for today, something to cut with. Have this cute little elephant that has a little scalpel in his trunk. So something to cut with, your crochet hook, a needle, and then of course some yarn. So to get started, there's two different ways. If you are having difficulty with one way, then try it the other way. But the first way I'm going to show you is to start with a magic ring. So to do that, we kind of went over it in our last video, but we're going to hold this and make an X in our fingers. I like to use my pinky to hold that other tail. We're going to come under and pull, and then pull up a chain. And that makes our magic loop. The other way to start it would be a chain start. So if you're having difficulty with your magic loop and you just can't get it down, this is another way to do it. I did it this way for a while because I was having difficulty with my magic loop. But what you're gonna do is get your starting loop on the hook, chain 4, oops, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then slip stitch into your first, ooh, if I can get in there, slip stitch on the first starting chain, and then you will double crochet into the middle to start. So I'm gonna do it the way with the magic loop or magic circle. So to start either way, we already have a chain of 1 here. We're going to want to chain a total of 3 to begin. And then into our circle or into the middle of our 4 chain, we're going to double crochet. So we're going to start by doing 2. So 1 and 2. So let me pull up some more yarn. So our beginning chain 3 in this instance counts as a double crochet. So we have 3 double crochets, and that will be our cluster. So this is more of a completed granny square. You can see we have 4 clusters. So that's what we're going to want to do. We just started with our 1, and in our corners we're going to be chaining 1. So since our beginning round has all 4 corners, our beginning round, all 4 of them are going to have a chain 1. Our next round, however, the sides are not going to have a chain, but we will see that when we get there. So we have our first cluster here, and we're going to chain 1 since this will be a corner, and we're going to put 3 double crochet right into our circle. So 1, 2, and 3. Then we're going to chain 1 and again put 3 in our circle. We don't want to lose the end of this, so I'm just going to pull a little bit to make it longer. So we chained 1, and then we're going to do another 3. 1, oops, 2, and 3. So that gives us 3, 1, 2, 3. We're going to chain 1 and do our 4th and final one. So 1, oops, 2, and 3. So then we're going to pull to tighten our magic loop, and we're going to slip stitch into the top of our chain stitch here. Slip stitch right in there. And then to start a new round, you're going to chain 3. And you can see right here is where our chain 1 was at the end of the last round. And we're going to put 2 more double crochets into the gap. So that's our first set of 3. And then we are not going to chain 1 in between these 2 because this is a side. So we're going to skip over our cluster and go into the space, which is our corner space. And we're going to put 3 double crochets for our cluster. We're going to chain 1 since it's a corner, and we're going to put another cluster right in that spot. 1, 2, 3. Alrighty, so again, since we're working on a side and not a corner, I'm not going to chain 1, and I'm going to go straight in here. Go 1, 2, 3 to make our cluster, chain 1, and do 3 right in the same spot. So you're going to do that all the way around, and I will meet you back at the beginning. All right, so I have my 3 corners done. Now we're right back to the beginning where we only have 1 double crochet in that corner. So what we're going to do is put our next cluster of double crochets. I meant we only had 1 cluster, but we're going to put our next 3 double crochets in there. We're going to chain 1 since it's our corner, and then we are going to slip stitch into the beginning, the top of the chain 3 from the last round. So now let's say we want to change colors. Now the yarn I'm using changes colors on its own, but let's say we're changing color every round, or you just want to add a different color this round. What we're going to do is cut our yarn, pull our hook out and tighten to end, and then we're going to add a new color. So I'm just going to use the same yarn, but I'm going to use the other end. What we're going to do to start is get a loop on our hook, and we're going to do something called a standing double crochet. So to do that, we're going to go straight into the corner where we left off. We're going to go into our corner by just doing a double crochet. So put a loop on your hook like you would for a double crochet. You might need to use your finger to hold it there. Go in, pull up a loop, pull through 2, and pull through 2 like you would for any other double crochet to start our new color. And then we will put 1 cluster since it's our beginning corner. So there's our cluster of 3 double crochet. And if you notice, I am crocheting over my yarn tail from the previous round. So I'm holding it and crocheting over it. So since we're doing a side, I'm not chaining 1. I'm going straight in to the next hole, next space between our clusters, and putting another cluster. Since I'm still working on a side, I'm not chaining 1, and I'm going directly into the next corner, crocheting over my tail. And since it's a corner, this time I'm going to chain 1 and double crochet. Oh, I got a knot in my yarn. Anyway, I'm gonna finish up this round. You just keep doing what we're doing, and I will meet you back at the beginning. Alrighty, so I just did my last cluster. I'm going to chain 1 and slip stitch right to the beginning where we started. So I'm going to go ahead and fasten off. Normally I like to do at least about 5 or 6 rounds, but just for demonstration purposes, we're going to stop here. So I'm going to cast off, pull out my yarn, And since I started here, I'm going to loop these together and tie a knot, and just do that twice. So the last thing we have to do is fasten in our ends. So just with your hook or with your needle, yarn needle, you just take this and weave it in a few times. I'm going to show you how to do the magic loop because it's a little bit more important, because we don't want this unraveling. Guess who has unraveled her projects before because they didn't do the magic loop correctly? Me. And if you're not comfortable doing it, do it the 4-chain way that I showed you earlier. It's not going to unravel. So you want to find which way your yarn pulls, which is pulling toward this way. So I'm going to go in and start weaving this way. And I'm going to go around in the same direction at least one more time. So then I'm going to go back the opposite way. I'm going to come in here, leave at least one loop to hook around, and come back this way so that it's less likely to unravel, and do that at least once. All right, now that I've gone around that way once, my hook came out, or my needle, I'm gonna come back and forth a couple times just to keep it that much more secure. I don't want to go all the way through where you can see it on the front. I just want to come under. Let's see, I'll go under through this way. Oops. And then maybe back through this way a couple times. Back again. I'm gonna call that good. You can even put a little bit of glue to make sure that really stays, because we don't want that unraveling. Then I'm just gonna pull that off and pull it tight. Make sure that's not gonna come undone. Then for these, you can just weave. Usually what I'll do is weave it back and forth through here a little bit, do the tops. You can see on this one where my yarn's coming through, I actually ended in this corner, went through this way, back again, and you really can't tell where I did that. So yeah, that's gonna be how you do a granny square, and you can keep doing this until it gets bigger, 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 so that your entire granny square makes up the whole size of a blanket. You can make a bunch of these and then either sew them together with a yarn hook or crochet them together. There's a lot of different ways to do it, and a lot of YouTube tutorials on that as well. Or if you, instead of doing 4 to begin, if you do 6 and keep doing that around and around, that's how you're going to do a granny cardigan. It's a granny hexagon cardigan since there is 6 instead of 4, but it's the exact same idea. Like I said, you just start with 6 of these instead of 4. If you have any questions, definitely let me know down in the comments. There's a lot of YouTube tutorials as well, going over different kinds of granny squares. This is just the most basic kind and the way that I do it. So yeah, see you next time on Stoops Loops.